Welcome back to the Midnight Narrator, where the wilderness whispers secrets and the silence holds unspeakable horrors. Tonight, we journey into the depths of a protected wilderness area, a place where the illusion of tranquility masks a terrifying reality. Prepare to confront the chilling phenomenon known as the stillness, a complete absence of sound that heralds the arrival of something unnatural, something that hunts in the darkness. Join me as we unravel the haunting story of the stillness. Turn down the lights, listen closely, and pray that the silence never finds you. The human mind is a curious thing. When traversing a wooded area, thoughts often drift. You absorb the hushed atmosphere, the gentle air currents, the rustling of foliage beneath your feet. It's an innate human desire to connect with such environments. Regardless of our urban lifestyles, natural spaces offer solace and rejuvenation. The air is pure, and sunlight filters through the canopy. It's both inspiring and tranquil. At times, however, as you proceed along the trail, your focus sharpens on minute details. Distant sounds, sudden breezes, fleeting shadows. Such tranquility can be both comforting and unsettling depending on your perspective. Woodlands possess a duality. They offer respite from the clamor of civilization but expose you to a different kind of reality. You relinquish control because this is not your domain. You can construct a dwelling there and pretend otherwise, but you remain an outsider, a mere transient. That's the nature of protected wilderness areas, a perception of control. The simulated freedom you experience on designated paths and within assigned campsites, the illusion of peacefulness in the surrounding quiet. Even that quiet is deceptive. Venture into a forest, even in apparent silence. Is it truly silent? It isn't. Complete absence of sound signifies something unnatural. It should be avoided. My guardian instilled this in me. They were a wilderness guardian, a position they'd held for many years. I wasn't particularly drawn to protected areas. I found the lack of connectivity in the strenuous trails unappealing. I preferred aquatic activities or winter sports. Why endure physical exertion to reach a high vantage point, only to observe a distant valley? And the fauna. They were omnipresent, and the insects were a constant irritation. I never understood my guardian's affinity for the wilderness. Perhaps that's why they began sharing unsettling tales from their night patrols. In retrospect, they were clearly fabricated, but to my younger self they seemed plausible. I admired their apparent courage. As I matured, I developed an interest in suspenseful narratives and, although I no longer believed in their woodland entities, I was intrigued by the idea of spending a night in a remote shelter seeking that thrill. When my guardian proposed I accompany them on a patrol, I readily agreed. I understood their motivation. Our connection had weakened over the years. I was growing into adulthood and they struggled to adapt. They had become emotionally withdrawn, seemingly rejecting my attempts to bridge the gap. I had in turn become distant and irritable. My other parent suggested this trip might help us reconnect. We arrived at the designated area around 21:00. Their shift commenced at 22:00 and concluded at 06:00. Their all-terrain vehicle cut through the darkness, penetrating the wooded terrain, the headlights illuminating the trees against the night sky. I'd never traveled this route, as my visits were infrequent. We drove for a considerable time. The vastness of these protected areas is often underestimated. It took 90 minutes to reach the observation post, a small prefabricated structure far from the park's entrance. I observed it, a solitary sign of human presence in the wilderness, a modest structure with dim lights and security measures. Before exiting the vehicle, my guardian addressed me. Listen, there are some procedures you must adhere to. They may seem trivial, but they are essential. They handed me a sheet of paper, a list of handwritten directives. Initially, they were standard. Don't venture out alone. Ensure you have communication equipment, etc. I assumed the rest were intended to unnerve me. I'm not a child anymore, I said. You can't frighten me with this. I'm not trying to. You chose to accompany me, so follow the guidelines. What is this? If you encounter a figure with a missing limb, Do not offer assistance. We encounter unusual individuals in this area. And this? If the high-pitched sound is close, they are distant. My guardian offered a tight smile. Some of these are based on local lore. They're precautionary measures. It's unlikely you'll encounter anything. The list contained, do not venture out alone. Always maintain communication access. Remain on designated trails unless instructed otherwise and with appropriate gear. Secure all food and waste. Keep the signal device and locator tag with you at all times. If you encounter a figure with a missing limb, do not offer assistance. Those familiar to you are not present here. Remember, there is no reason to perceive their presence outside. Secure the vehicle, even while in motion. Observe the markings on the flora. There are only 3 authorized symbols, all geometric: vermilion, gold, and verdant. Any other markings should be avoided. If the high-pitched sound is close, they are distant. If it is distant, they are close. Be aware of the stillness. What is the stillness? I inquired. My guardian sighed. You know when you're in the woods? When you perceive what you think is silence, but you realize there are countless sounds around you, from insects to the wind through the trees? Yes. That's because true silence doesn't exist. There's always sound, movement, life. The stillness is the complete absence of sound. Our designation for it, an unnerving silence, unnatural. And if that occurs, it won't. But if it does? They paused, looking at the vehicle's controls. Then they turned to me, their gaze shifting from my eyes to the window behind me. You evacuate. They exited the vehicle, and I followed. The structure was dusty and cramped. I couldn't fathom spending 8 hours there. It contained a small monitor that wasn't functioning, a work surface, and a small cooling unit. You stay here alone? I asked. Yes. Does that disturb you? Don't you become restless? Another guardian is stationed nearby. We communicate regularly. Nothing significant occurs here. My post is distant from the visitor areas. I periodically patrol to ensure no one deviates from the designated areas at night. But that's infrequent. This is a more remote section, less frequented. You haven't explored the entire area? Their eyes gleamed. That would be impossible. So you don't know what's out there? That's part of the experience. You mentioned wanting excitement. There you have it. I nodded. They opened the cooling unit and offered me a beverage, citrus juice. I'd mentioned liking that specific brand once, and they'd remembered. Perhaps our relationship wasn't beyond repair. We sat together in the cramped structure. My guardian secured the entrance. I won't deceive you, I mostly rest. Nothing ever happens. So you didn't encounter any of those creatures you described when I was younger? I asked jokingly. The only entity I fear is my supervisor, and I'd rather confront any mythical being than interact with them. I chuckled. I peered out the windows. I can't discern anything, just my reflection. Would you like me to reduce the illumination? Yes. They complied, and the darkness enveloped the small structure. The woods became more prominent, more distinct. The moonlight was brilliant and the stars were clearly visible, unlike in the city. The structure was elevated on a platform, attached to a large tree, with a hatch and a ladder leading to our vehicle. We had a clear view above the tree line into the valley. We spent the initial hours conversing. Around midnight, I began to feel drowsy. I resisted, but eventually succumbed to sleep, resting my head on the work surface. They roused me. I rubbed my eyes, disoriented. What time is it? I received a communication from the other guardian. Right. Who? Was that? I mumbled. The other guardian in this sector. They received a report from the visitor area. Someone is missing. We must initiate a search. We? Including me? Yes. You'll remain in the vehicle. I'm communicating with them now. I could hear the other guardian's muffled voice through the communicator. Don't bring the youth. Why not? They'll stay in the vehicle. This could be one of those occurrences. We won't leave the vehicle. You cannot guarantee that. I can't leave them here, alone, in the darkness. A pause ensued. Look, I understand you wanted to bring your youth along, but I have reservations about this. It could be perilous. We're simply going to drive around briefly. It will be fine. Leave them in the structure. My guardian covered a speaker, preventing me from hearing the other guardian's response. Their gaze kept shifting to the window behind me. They sighed. The other guardian will meet me. You are to remain here with the entrance secured. Extinguish the lights and await my return. It won't be long and you'll be safe. What? I'm not staying here alone. What did the other guardian say to change your mind? It's not important. I'll be back within half an hour at most. You can rest if you wish, or I can maintain communication with you. I was apprehensive, truly apprehensive. I didn't want to reveal my fear, especially after expressing my earlier boredom, so I reluctantly agreed. My guardian opened the hatch and descended the ladder, disappearing into the darkness. I watched the other guardian's vehicle arrive and depart with my guardian inside. Silence descended. I wished I was home, in my own bed. Instead, I sat rigidly on the chair, waiting and waiting. I began to envision worst-case scenarios. What if they had been involved in an accident? What if a wild animal had encountered them? I tried to suppress my fear, but my guardian's stories and the list of directives returned to my mind. I hoped the warnings were merely the product of overactive imaginations. Around a 2, 1, I heard a sound at the hatch. My chest tightened. Another sound followed. I wanted to respond, but something held me back. Then I heard my guardian's voice. Open the hatch, it's cold out here. The voice echoed through the structure. My eyes were strained from lack of sleep, but my mind was fully alert. I stared at the communication device, then at the hatch. Open it, please. I know you're inside. I saw you at the window. I extinguished the remaining light. I don't know why I felt this compulsion, but if my guardian could see me from the window, anyone or anything could. I didn't want to be visible. Don't you have a key? It secures from the inside. Right. How did it go? Did you locate them? Yes, we did. They were disoriented. We assisted them back to their group. It could have been much worse. As I spoke, I searched the work surface for the key. It was strange because I hadn't heard anyone ascending the ladder or seen the other guardian's vehicle return. How did you return without the other guardian? What do you mean? Open the hatch, I'm freezing. Answer the question. They brought me back. I didn't see any lights. They were extinguished to avoid attracting wildlife. A pause, then softer, almost pleading. It's me, please, it's so cold. False. I retrieved the crumpled list. Those familiar to you are not present here. Remember, there is no reason to perceive their presence outside. My hand trembled as I grasped the communication device. I scrolled through the contacts. My guardian's identifier. I initiated a call. The device was ringing, yet no sound emanated from below the hatch. My guardian answered. Is everything all right? In the absolute darkness of the structure, surrounded by the wind, I lowered my voice. Someone is impersonating you. A long pause ensued. When they spoke, their voice was strained, laced with fear. Don't open it. Extinguish the lights. Did you extinguish them when I instructed you to? I extinguished them now. No. You should have extinguished them when I departed. I apologize. It's all right. Do not interact with it. Did you interact with it? Guilt washed over me. I don't know why, but I lied. I did not. Good. Remain where you are. I'm coming to retrieve you. But what if it sees you? You'll have to confront it. We have methods of deterring them. It's all right. Do not be afraid. I lied again. I'm not. Good, I am on my way. I wasn't concerned for myself. I was terrified for them. The voice from below persisted. Open the hatch, please. I'm so cold and so afraid, just like you. I didn't respond. Sounds followed. The voice continued. Did you communicate with someone? I lost my device in the woods. Whoever has it is not me. It's not me. It's not me. The voice began to take on a higher pitch, almost a whine. The repetition continued, faster now, more desperate. It's not me, 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 it's not me. Silence, I shouted, my voice cracking, and it ceased. Silence followed. I unfolded the list and began rereading the directives. I listened intently for any sounds outside. The wind persisted. Good. Not the stillness. Then, I heard a loud impact against the wall. Another followed, and another. It resembled footsteps. They moved to the roof of the structure. I could hear my own pulse. Whatever was outside was now moving around on the roof. I heard scraping sounds like claws on metal. I began to weep, covering my mouth. I wanted my guardian. I longed to see their face again. The universe responded with cruel irony as my guardian's likeness materialized at one of the windows. They raised their hand and made a knocking motion. I stared at them, barely breathing, remaining motionless. It continued to knock. That wasn't my guardian. The structure was secured to a tree, several meters above the ground. They couldn't be at the window. The fluid dripping from its nostril shimmered with an unnatural light. The communication device interrupted my trance. Are you there? Are you inside the structure? Yes, and the thing resembles you, and it's at the window. I'm coming immediately. I will neutralize it. Do not be alarmed. I am approaching the location. I'm worried about you. The other guardian is also en route. It will be all right. Within moments, the other guardian's vehicle arrived. I wept with relief. The entity turned its head to look, then back at me. It opened its mouth wide and, using its fingers, manipulated the corners upward, forming a grotesque imitation of a smile, then leaped into the woods, into the darkness. Discharges from a firearm followed. After several silent minutes, I used the device to contact my guardian. They answered. Where are you? I asked. I'm coming to retrieve you. I saw them approach the structure, then heard them ascend the ladder. I unlocked the hatch and embraced them tightly. What was that? Please tell me we're returning home. We are. I deeply regret exposing you to this. Let us depart. As we walked towards our vehicle, a chill ran through me. It wasn't something I saw or heard, but its absence. The wind had ceased. The sounds of the night had vanished. The stillness. I sprinted to the vehicle, entered the driver's seat, and secured the doors. My guardian stood before the vehicle, confused. I then received a text message and accelerated. I struck them with the vehicle, then reversed and sped away into the night. I barely knew how to operate the vehicle as I did not possess a license, but I fled as quickly as possible. A vehicle pursued me. When I reached the designated meeting point, I stopped. It was the other guardian's vehicle. They exited, alone. Where is my guardian? I asked. Used an alternate mode of transport to reach you more quickly. They said they would contact me once you were safe. The message they had sent me. The other guardian and I have separated. They may arrive before me. If so, they will communicate that you are safe. There is no one with the other guardian. They are alone. I had believed I was opening the hatch to my guardian, when they had actually used an alternate route and gone to the meeting point. The entity I had struck with the vehicle was not my guardian, and I had known it from that unnatural silence. However, no one at the meeting point had encountered my guardian. As I record this, I fear for them, but a part of me believes they are still alive. Perhaps they chose a different path or became disoriented. Whatever has occurred, I will find them. And there we conclude our terrifying exploration of The Stillness, a story that delves into the chilling consequences of venturing beyond the veil of the familiar and confronting the true nature of the wilderness. What happens when the very essence of nature turns against us? How do we escape a predator that hunts in absolute silence? Share your thoughts and theories in the comments below. If this tale has left you with a lingering sense of unease, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and activate the notification bell to join us on future journeys into the darkness. This is the Midnight Narrator, signing off. Until next time, remember, Sometimes the most terrifying sounds are the ones we don't hear.